Hi friends, and thank you for coming back to my channel. My name is Lane, and today we are going to continue on with my Pokemon series timeline. In the first two videos we covered the main series, anywhere from red, blue, green, all the way up to scarlet and violet, including the teal mask and the indigo disc. And in the second video we incorporated the ranger series into that, so we put it into the main series and showed where they would be in comparison to the main series. So today we're going to cover the Ore games, that being Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness. So if you haven't already, go ahead, like this video, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, and also go ahead and view the first two videos in the series because I do reference quite a bit of information from those. So let's get started. Alright, so to start this, I'm going to go ahead and give a synopsis of what these games are, just because these games came out forever ago. So they're actually a part of Generation 3, which means they came out alongside Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, and Leaf Green. So you know that they're ancient games, which I think we need a remake of these. In Pokemon Colosseum, you play as Wes, who was formerly a member of an organization called Team Snag'em, which had obtained a machine that allowed the user to steal another trainer's Pokemon as though it were wild. Another team, Cypher, was responsible for corrupting the hearts of Pokemon and giving them to trainers. With the help of a young girl named Rui, Wes was able to find the Pokemon whose hearts were sealed and surrounded by a purple aura, and use the Snag machine to rescue Shadow Pokemon and restore them to normal. In its sequel, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, it once again takes place in the Ore region, about 5 years after the events of Colosseum. In their second attempt at world domination, Cypher has created a Shadow Lugia, codenamed XD-001, claimed to be immune to purification. You play as Michael, a kid who aims to defeat Cypher and prevent their plans from happening, which these games are hardcore as frick, and I love them for that. And of course, we do know that these games are canon to the Pokemon world because you can trade Pokemon between your Ore games and your Hoenn and Kanto games, meaning that the Pokemon in the Ore region are valid or they're real since they can be transferred to the main series. Alright, so we do know that these games happen about 5 years apart because it is stated from several different NPCs in the game, and we can see characters' age. The most, not importantly, but the most obvious people are the kids grid. We do get this quote from Professor Crane in regards to the purification chamber that they had began working on after the first Shadow incident in Colosseum. "I'm sorry, player. After 5 long years, this project is finally on the verge of coming together." His aim was to find a quicker method of Pokemon purification than that of the Relic Stone used in Colosseum. Placing these games in an overall timeline is a bit more difficult though, due to them not mentioning any event related to any other Pokemon regions. The only thing that we can see is that due to the harsh environment, Pokemon are not naturally found in the wild in the Ore region, and the people here actually have to have Pokemon imported from the Kanto, Johto, and Hoenn regions, but not from any other region. Even though in XD Gale of Darkness we can find Munchlax and Bonsly, but these are the only two instances of a Pokemon not native to Kanto, Johto, or Hoenn. But thanks to one of my favorite Pokemon lines, that being the Porygon line, we are given a bit more information that can help us place these games in the overall timeline. Real quick information about Porygon: it does need to be traded with an upgrade item to become Porygon 2, and then Porygon 2 needs to be traded again holding the dubious disc to become Porygon Z. As we know from my last video, the existence of Porygon 2 implies that these games need to happen after the Kanto games, due to this being the first inclusion of the upgrade item. If you want more information about that, go ahead and watch the main series video since I already covered that there. Now, neither Porygon or Porygon 2 are capturable in Pokemon in the wild or snaggable from any character in the game, but they still do appear in the game as owned Pokemon by trainers. But where's Porygon Z? If we look at our timeline, the first place that a dubious disc appears is in the Hoenn region as an obtainable item in the Battle Maison. So to me, this places Pokemon Colosseum securely after the Kanto games, but before the Hoenn games. Alright, this is further explained by evidence that happens in XD Gale of Darkness, which, keep in mind, we do know that it is an established fact that there is 5 years between the events of Colosseum and XD. And because it's already been stated, we know this for a fact. So the evidence from XD is from some legendary Pokemon and a mad scientist, Dr. Kaminko. Dr. Kamingo specializes in robotics and, as we know, creates 2 robots that are pretty similar to some Hoenn legendaries, that being Kyogre and Groudon. He blessed us with these creations, or abominations, Robo Kyogre and Robo Groudon. Now, given that before the events of the Hoenn games, we know that these 2 Pokemon were only mentioned in prehistory and in legends, so not super common or well known, especially to people in other regions, which, with that evidence, we would need to place these games after the events of the Hoenn games. Now, I doubt that this inventor is going to be doing a lot of research into myths, so I believe that he would have had to have seen the news reports of the events happening in the Hoenn region, and that inspired the design of these inventions. He also has a fountain in his courtyard that is, of course, modeled after Groudon. It is covered in overgrowth, so it is possible that he had this made when his research had started, and by the events of XD, it's in such a state of disrepair and it's not been tended to in a while. So, with the remembrance of this being a 5-year time jump, we do know that it needs to happen after the events of Johto and Sinnoh, since these games happen so close together, and there is a known 3-year difference between Kanto and Johto. I am going to place the events of Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness happening before Pokemon Ranger Guardian Signs, somewhere in the 12-year time gap between the Sinnoh games and the Unova games, but definitely closer to the events of the Sinnoh games. Now, I can definitely see people saying, oh, well, Porygon Z doesn't appear in Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness either. And to that, I say, shut up. By the time of XD, we can see several different high-tech locations throughout the region, like the Pokemon Lab, Cypher Headquarters, and then the fact that they can scientifically lock the hearts of Pokemon. That's pretty high-tech. The dubious disc is described as a transparent device overflowing with dubious data. Its producer is unknown. It's possible that this item just hasn't made its way over to the Ori region yet, or since they are such a high-tech region, that they have a ban on malware. This actually does happen quite a bit in the real world, so it's not something that's unheard of, and they just don't want to have virus or malware inserted anywhere into the region. So that's my answer to that. Alright, you guys, thank you for coming back to my channel, and thank you for hanging out with me. Once again, here's the timeline that we are working with now. I would love to hear your thoughts, comments on that. Like the video, subscribe, all the fun stuff. And the next one, I think I'm going to go ahead and cover the Stadium series and Battle Revolution. There's probably some that I'm forgetting about, but we will work on that. I will see you in the next one.